I hear French voices.
Yeah, I feel like there's going to be a slam. Okay, that's what I was waiting for.
Yeah, good timing.
That's what
Wow.
I was waiting for.
Phil,
Yes, sir.
I have a bone to pick with you.
Oh, no. Well, at least I'm close to the door. I'm fast. I'm faster than I look.
Well, you're going to have to be, because I was checking over the last episode. Mm-hmm. I looked like a prisoner. You never told me this. I look like I had a haircut recently, and it looked like I'm trying to get out, and you've got to throw me muffins or something.
Listen, I'm
to
going to
get
get
out.
close to the microphone. Just blink twice if you need to. Okay, all right.
I can wink with, I'll wink with my good eye. Yeah. So there it is. Not intentional, but it might be a mixture of short hair and this my Mao jacket as well. So welcome to episode 3 of That Sweet Spot. We're in season 2. I'm Peter Flynn, and as you know, here's my innovative producer, Phil.
Oh, wow. That's very kind.
Yes, today's adjective. So we're here to talk about teaching this series. If anyone out there is considering teaching abroad, this might be for you. I'll be sharing my story as a rookie teacher in China, and along the way we're interviewing other educators about their unique experiences. And just a very, very quick footnote just before we begin, I will be making a massive effort to mispronounce some Chinese words. See if you can spot them.
Yeah, feel free to point them out in the comments below, too.
I'll get a roasting.
Don't hold back.
I get a roasting for this, yeah, because pronunciation, the tone's very important in Chinese, of course, for meaning. Staff room. One afternoon, I wandered around the school getting my bearings. The staff room was on the 5th floor, so I ran up the steps, noticing the green sign saying, "Please don't spit," in Chinese. A placard at the top read, "Experimental classes." They were experimental mainly because they had foreign teachers in T and me. I hear French voices.
Yeah, I feel like there's going to be a slam. Okay, that's what I was waiting for.
Good timing.
That's what I was waiting for. Yeah.
The staff room was a cold, dusty place with a great blackboard at one end where Miss L, the pretty Communist Party representative, wrote up the bulletins each week. 7 desks were arranged in islands, propped up against the green walls. Somewhere I could hear a dog barking.
I can hear a dog barking right now. Was that part of your story?
Yes.
Are you serious?
You see the way I brought that in?
Yes.
Yeah,
I thought I was hallucinating.
I'm just bringing it in. Yeah.
Well,
you hear the door slamming, and then I hear the dog barking. So we might as well include them.
There's a chance we're both having strokes right now.
Yeah, we could be. Yeah.
They might find this flat with 2 dead people
there
and
it
a
is.
camera rolling.
So would that'll be a live death? How about that? Yeah. Meanwhile, in China, I found T sitting at his desk and asked him about the experimental classes. "The students here aren't necessarily clever," he said. "Their fathers are party members and city leaders, businessmen and police chiefs, so they don't need to be very clever." There were 30 teachers in all in the staff room, but only 5 of them spoke English. I decided to ask some of them questions about the school to get to know them. Mr. W, the English teacher for class 7-1, was sitting opposite me. He was a slight man with wispy hair and a quizzical smile. I asked him whether the elephant heads on either side of the school gates referred to the school's name, Elephant Lake. He smiled. "Elephant." "Elephant," I said. "Elephant." "Ah, elephant." He took out a little red notebook. How do you spell? E-L-E-P-H-A-N-T. "Is it the name of the school?" I said. He was already looking through a dictionary. "Elephant, yes. Shang. But Isn't that the name of the school? I said. Elephant Lake? Lick? Lake. The notebook came out. How do you spell? Just as a footnote, Phil, I should tell you that I have another red book, which I somehow came up with in China. I don't know where it came from.
Yeah.
I was probably given this as a gift, but it's a translation of the red book, the little red book.
Mao's little red book?
Mao's little red book.
Yeah.
And I suspect that the guy who gave it to me was the same guy who gave me this jacket. So
wow.
I think they go together quite well.
Yeah.
But
don't want to break up the set.
no. But it represented a really, really terrible time in history of China. But I'm not going to go into the politics of it all. I tried asking Miss Wong, or Auntie Wong, as T called her, about the name, but she was busy criticizing James Thurber. I watched her, sitting at her desk, while the sullen boy stood with his hands clasped to his chest, as she attacked him in rapid Chinese. He was drawing in her lesson, said T. So she's telling him not to let his family down, and his father would be ashamed of him. So who could explain the name of the school? Miss R looked up icily from her marking when I approached her, so I let her get on with it and went over to Miss Lee, a young teacher with a square jaw and a bemused, childlike expression. Miss Lee wore pastel trousers, which made her legs flash on a sunny day. As the homeroom teacher for Class 8, Grade 1, she aimlessly ticked their compositions without reading them, as she thinks it's more important for them to do the work than for it to be done correctly. She told me the school's name came from a famous philosopher from the Song dynasty, who is now buried in the park. I asked her about the elephants, and she looked confused. Commune. To the right of the gate is the guard's hut, where the letters are locked up and guarded by a young man with an electric baton. On the other side is Uncle Gong's hut. Gong is the gnarled gatekeeper who shuffles out and opens the gate for trucks, muttering and cursing at the drivers as they pull past. At 75, he's almost 7 times as old as the school itself. I'm hearing some chuckles from Phil there.
Yeah,
does this remind you?
No, it just painted a great picture. Just a cantankerous old man.
Yeah. It was just like perfect gatekeeper. No, I can still picture him in my mind. You know, those extraordinary wrinkles, and I think he was wearing a jacket just like this. In fact, at the time. So, hey, to the left of Uncle Gong's hut were the school toilets. A long concrete shack with a distinctive smell. Once I'd worked out which Chinese character meant male, I watched George Washington go in. I braved it myself. In the cold, dim interior, I decided there were some things I would never do in there. There were no cubicles, only low stone partitions marking off each area and a long slit running down the building. I followed the slit round the back and found a sifu worker planting vegetables in a narrow field. He was sinuous, moving like a weasel. When he saw me, he looked up and grinned, baring big brown teeth. I waved, remembering the tiny plate of greens I'd eaten for lunch that day. It had been grown with human fertilizer. Yay! The little field was boxed in by basketball courts and the wide, dusty pitch where the kids had gathered to watch the flag going up. There were now about 50 boys playing football, or soccer for US viewers. As I came closer, I wondered why there were only 2 goals on the pitch, as there were at least 4 games going on at once. Some of the grade 1 kids were taking penalties against their keeper, pausing when the bigger grade 2s, who were playing diagonally across the pitch, threatened the goal in a separate game. Phil, was any of that clear?
No.
It really wasn't, was it?
I was like, that would make a good tongue twister.
Oh, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
So basically, if you imagine 2 or 3 games going on one pitch, and players playing diagonally across each other.
Okay.
And somehow there are only 2 goals. I mean, just to elaborate on that. So,
isn't there's some game where they do it that way, where they play across each other?
They do it.
Yeah.
Well, these I'm going to illustrate in a minute why this is amazing to me, because when an old man carrying radishes and a fleet of tiny girls on bicycles crossed the pitch, the boys simply played around them. The pitch was everyone's property. More than half the teachers in the experimental classes live at school, in the Stalinist grey flats facing the football pitch, tucked behind palm and pine trees. By the time I came back to my flat, I saw the school as a self-contained unit, a walled community which grows its own food, has its own security and its own rules. As an example of a miniature socialist commune, I wondered whether it worked, whether the people that lived there were really happy. Phil, quick question. Have you ever lived in a commune-like environment, radically different from your home?
The closest I would say would be my first year of university. I was in a dormitory. And it was very much kind of like Lord of the Flies. Because we were very self-governing. It was a liberal arts school, but it was quite liberal in the way that they did things, and they kind of had a laissez-faire attitude toward much of what we did. Of course, there were certain things that they were angry about that they sent the security after us for, but just little things
imagine,
like I think we smuggled hay bales in during Halloween, and we decorated the whole place with hay. They didn't like that so much. We had a collection of shopping carts, trolleys that we used to leave. We used to go up to the roof and then tie a rope to them and drop them down on things. So you'd have a statue of like Aeneas, something classical, and then you'd have a trolley over top of it, right? Then we didn't damage anything, but it was all in good fun. But it was very much like Lord of the Flies. There was a certain hierarchy. No one was executed or anything like that. Not that I know.
As far as you knew.
As far as we knew. But we were very wild, and we had a really interesting year. I loved it.
I like your use of shopping trolleys. I think that sounds great. I can just imagine some photos of that. So, just following on from that, I'll bet there's lots of people out there with their own interesting stories, maybe about living in a commune or teaching in a commune, and I'll bet they're just dying to comment, Phil. Bet you anything you want.
Let's hear it.
Dying to
comment. Bring it on.
Mr. H. Peter, you are Playboy. Oh, I wish. H slapped me on the back as we walked to his apartment. He was a Chinese teacher in his 30s, with a roguish air outside of the classroom, an absolute authority within. His wife, C, was one of the most elegant women I'd ever met, a dancer, while H was convinced I was a playboy. At some point in his apartment, he must have asked me why I came to China, and I must have been drunk, as I said, Bruce Lee. Oh, you like Kung Fu? Yeah, love it. This would turn out to be a bad move. Perhaps I was distracted, trying not to look at his wife for too long. Phil, I've lived in sin. Final part of this episode is called The Rat That Ruled the World. Lantern Festival, Monday, March the 4th. Imagine a city where the buildings crackle with fire, where children march between honking vans, shooting rockets from paper spears. Imagine a city of sparks and neon lights and firecrackers. Imagine this, and you're in City X at the end of Spring Festival. My day started with Mr. M on my doorstep, waiting with his Cheshire Cat smile. After breakfast, we took a walk to the post office, where I was told I couldn't buy stamps on my own. I love this. Wow, where else can that happen? Everywhere we went, from the bustling city centre to the slums on the outskirts, Fireworks hissed and boomed from alleyways and dark windows. Carved into the school wall was a bright white barber shop run by a young woman in brown tights. I just asked for a haircut. So when she squirted shampoo on my head and started rubbing it in, I gaped at her in the mirror, but she just smiled and spent 20 minutes kneading my hair and massaging my earlobes. Phil, it was incredible.
There you go.
It was amazing. That night, I took a bus with Mr. and Mrs. M and their mischievous little son to the park. Once past the soldiers at the neon gate, we walked through an empire of light, full of models, effervescent monks and mermaids in bushes, monkeys in revolving chairs pissing at passers-by, and black lakes filled with stars. In a pavilion at the top of a hill, we found a king-size pool table where a crowd gathered to watch the upstart Westerner try his hardest not to beat the local hero. I took on H's 9-year-old son at ping pong, holding him off just before he got his aim in, and handed the paddle to his father to avoid humiliating me. As we left the park, we passed a papier-mâché rat, squatting over a paper earth with a crown on its head. This was the year of the rat. The Cheshire Cat found out it was my Chinese sign and smiled. Ends episode 3. Phil, we made it.
We made it. Very good. Yeah, I need to find out what my Chinese sign is. I don't know what it is.
I'm pretty sure it's a rat. It might be a pig, actually. I think I'm choosing between those two, but
Wow.
according to Mr. M.
How nice. So, what does the rat mean? Does it mean that you're cunning and that you're able to survive daunting? Because I know it's not looked down upon so much to be a rat.
I would think so, and it's actually quite interesting how animals have a different rep and meaning and connotations in different cultures.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure in China it'll be different from the West, as so many things are.
Yeah.
But it would be interesting to check up on.
I'm going to check right now. I'm going to see what I am. I need to know.
Fantastic show. Fantastic idea. And we're going to wrap this episode, and I'm going to tell all of you guys at home, like it, loathe it, love it. We'd love to hear from you. Till the next time. Bye-bye.
$1984. That's my birth year.
Go for it. Plug off this.
Year of the rat.
Oh, you're
I am
a rat too?
Yeah, I'm a rat too.
Wow.
Yeah, and the rat is very social, expressive, and talkative.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's not a bad record.
I mean, good people for a podcast, I guess.